Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. We are alive at 5 and we are ready to get your thoughts on the stories that we have today. But first, we do want to remind you all to go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That baby is growing and we're so glad to have you guys there. Also, give us a follow and a like on our Facebook page if you want to jump in on the conversation. So we post our stories every day to make sure that you guys are involved here with us. Let's get started. I'm here with Jennifer Bellamy and Caitlin Ross. All right, Jennifer, your topic, what do you have today?
All right, so this is something that I started seeing very early on in the day. Maybe some folks saw it last night. This is happening in Galveston, Texas. The police department there charged a man with trespassing, but they didn't have a vehicle that was available. So check out this image. This is what they decided to do instead. You see the officers there. They're on mounted units there, mounted horses, and that man who was under arrest is walking between them, with a rope, if you can believe it.
No.
It actually looks like something that is out of the past, out of a movie or something. Very disturbing. A lot of people really upset about this. And the police chief down there, who is actually an African-American man as well, pointed out that this was not the best thing to do. He said the officers used poor judgment in this instance. He said that they could have waited for a transport unit, a vehicle, to take this man where he needed to go. And he apologized for this arrest, but said it was unnecessary and it was an embarrassment.
Yeah, so you see people, maybe taking a position on both sides, but when the police chief who trained them and who knows the policies and procedures, if this thing goes to like some sort of legal battle, you have the police chief saying that this was not the proper thing to do and they could have waited for that unit, because a lot of people were saying, well, it's a mounted patrol unit. What are you supposed to do? But when you look at that image, you just get a jarring feeling of America's dark past.
Yeah. It is. It's a visceral reaction. And I know we have mounted patrol units here in Atlanta, and I have never seen anything like that. So I understand they couldn't put them on the back of the horse, but certainly why couldn't you wait for a transport unit to arrive? I can't wrap my mind around making that decision.
Exactly. Nobody, not one of the two officers involved, thought better of this. Or, I mean, maybe even one of you walked down there with him. That would have been a different image, I think, for many people. It just invoked so many painful memories of the past. And the man's brother said it was like it was a dog.
Yeah.
So it was really, really bad. Like I said, a lot of people talking about this one today. Let's take a look at some of your comments. This one coming in from Steven. He said this might have been procedure back in the Old West before patrol cars, but this was a horrible decision in 2019. A lot of people saying, what year are we in? This next one coming in from Zach, he said, putting a handcuffed man on a horse would be pretty dangerous, I imagine, but that's a far way to fall. He says, though, that probably they should have waited for that patrol car, kind of like the police chief. And then this last one coming in from Alana saying it's far too reminiscent of a horrid history of treatment of slaves and African Americans during Jim Crow. How does anyone not see this? Or not know this, rather, and even suspects should be treated humanely. I think a lot of folks saying that the suspects don't deserve this.
Yeah, a lot of people, though, like you said, this story started to come out and get some comments last night. A lot of people were saying, well, why should we treat criminals with so much respect and dignity? And he's accused of this and he's accused of that. And they're also saying, not to bring in the race card. It's America, it's 2019, but you also have to do a parallel. What if you did a side-by-side, this also in Texas and El Paso, of how that suspect was arrested so peacefully, not a hair out of place, and then for someone charged with trespassing, how he was, dehumanized in a way, being dragged around the town on a rope. And so you can really do a parallel there and see why people who have been impacted by race feel the need to bring it up.
And one other thing to mention is that this man who was arrested, his family says he has mental health issues and that he was also homeless, and they allege that he was familiar with officers in the area, and so that these were things that they would have known as well. The police chief did say that they did not break any policy, but it looks like they're making moves to change it.
It definitely got a good conversation going too on our social media. We would love to hear more about what you guys have to say about that one.
So here's a story that got my attention because it came directly from a mom on my Facebook page who reached out to me. She was upset that her daughter's teacher talked about the mass shootings over the weekend. It was a terrible Monday to come back to school. It was the first Monday after that deadly, horrific weekend. And she said she felt like she didn't want to address it with her daughter. We had this discussion on Monday. A lot of us didn't want to talk about the reality of this happening. So she didn't. She didn't talk to her young daughter about it. Her daughter goes to school and her daughter's teacher talks about the mass shootings.
Yeah. That's a little icky. Not a mom, but from that perspective, I will say that even what we're exposed to in media, it gets heavy. And we are so desensitized to a lot of these issues. Think about how many mass shootings we've covered so far. You want to protect the babies and their innocence. And if they didn't come to you and ask about it, I think as a teacher, I would be prepared to answer their questions if they had questions about it. But I don't think I'm bringing it to them. I want them to be on the magic carpet reading Dr. Seuss.
And it also depends on age of the kids and what they can handle. But sometimes other kids bring stuff up. You might not, as a parent, tell your child something. It's almost like the birds and the bees. You hear that all the time. So-and-so says this. And it's like, Mommy, what's that? And all of a sudden, you're not prepared because you weren't ready to have that conversation. And somebody else has had it, or another child has been around something, and they bring that to your child, and then you're forced to have a conversation that you didn't want to have yet.
So this discussion is ongoing on my Facebook page. A lot of people weighing in. So I want to show some of the comments about what people have to say about this. There were really far-reaching points of view. Danny Milner here says, no, 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 no. I want to have that conversation with my child, not the teacher. That could have led to fear or panic at the school. Some people agreed with him. Others had really different points of view. The next comment we're seeing here, Stephanie says, what's so wrong? Parents take the pivotal role. Teachers offer themselves up as sounding boards. Why would that be wrong? It takes a village. And then we did hear from some teachers as well who had really good opinions on this. I feel it's a parent's responsibility to discuss events like mass shootings. If a student brought it up in class, I reassured them that my job was to keep them safe at all times, and I would certainly do just that. That seemed to reassure them, and we went on to academic topics. We practiced lockdown drills just like we did with fire drills. I think as a mom, it's terrifying that they have to think about having these lockdown drills and active shooter drills. But I think the teacher brings up a good point. This is a reality. And if the kids are coming to the teachers with these questions, how uncomfortable for the teachers to have to figure out what to say in that moment.
So be prepared from that end, but I don't think it should be a conversation that you're initiating. If you hear some kids over in the corner talking about it, or someone inflicting fear as the result of what their parents may have talked to them about, you're going to get it in waves at different times, but just make sure as the adult in the room, you know how to facilitate a healthy conversation with that one. All right, well, these topics were just a wee bit heavy.
They were.
And I actually thought that the story that I posted today would get more engagement. It didn't. And I think it's because you guys probably didn't want your spouses to see your response, All right, that could be it. All right, so let's talk about our girl, Gwyneth Paltrow. Remember a couple of months ago, you may have saw this story, circulating around. Her and her husband, they've been married for a little bit over a year. Well, they didn't live together. They lived nearby, but they didn't live together. They had their own situation going on, and they said that that was the healthiest way for them. And when her husband would have his kids, they would go to a different house, and, it was kind of close, so it wasn't so much separation. But it's not that 24/7 thing that you think about with marriage. I wake up to you, I go to sleep to you, we eat together, we leave for work together, and we do the kids' homework. What do you ladies think?
I'm going to get in trouble for this one.
Oh, see, let's go.
I know. My husband and I moved in together before we got married, before we even got engaged.
Okay.
And for us, I loved that. I think we learned a lot about each other. We learned how to live together, and we formed a really great foundation. And now we have really different interests. We do different things, but when we're at home, we're like attached to the hip. We do everything together, that works for us. But I think with marriage, it looks differently for every single person. I have really close friends who their husband and wife, they sleep in separate bedrooms because it works for them. So I think when you're making a lifelong commitment to someone, the important part is that one person, and you figure out how it works for the two of you. So I think if that works for them,
bravo, right? Okay, so the flip side of the situation is they did it for a year. Well, now they're moving in. They're moving in. And so it's sort of like everyone says, in the marriage world, like that first year is hard. That first year is hard. So now they decided to get through the first year in a way that made it smooth for them, but they've decided to now move in together. So to me, I think that would feel like you're starting your first year of marriage all over again. As the queen of the single life and living my best hot girl summer, I will say that even though I do enjoy my single life to some extent, I am a stage 5 clinger.
Oh gosh.
Sir, where are you?
Don't broadcast that.
In wanting to spend quality time, that would be considered my love language. Like, I want to know what you're doing. I don't want to be apart from you for that much because I enjoy your company. enjoy my own company
We're gonna
too.
rename it though from Stage 5 Clinger.
What? You want to rename it? Give me something better.
I don't know. I need to think on it, but that sounds bad. We're gonna
How about
call it
like
something
intimate?
else.
You're intimate.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Intimate, you're close.
It is.
If you
That's
know
a
me,
little
you
bit
know
better.
I don't brush it over. It just is what it is. Hey, well, let's see what some of the people on my Facebook page had to say. This was a really good comment. I think it goes in line with yours too, Caitlin. It says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I feel that we as a society conform to what is socially acceptable out of our peer pressure. Is separate homes, rooms, beds, whatever is working for you guys, go for it.
Love it. Love it.
Whatever you got to do.
Right?
I'm all for it.
I
Gotta
am
put
too.
in the work, it seems.
Y'all,
Yeah,
you gotta put
yeah.
no matter where you live,
Whatever it is.
it's work. No matter where you live, it's
Yeah.
work. But it's beautiful work. And we want to hear
Looking
what
forward
works
to it.
for you. What works in your relationship? What do you think about the idea? We're talking about today's stories, but tomorrow's too. So we want to hear your thoughts on all of them. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We post every day of the week. We're going to see you back here tomorrow.